L'episodio di oggi ha 3 ragioni che me lo rendono speciale. La prima è che arriva con il primo giorno d'estate. E quale momento migliore, se non questo, per testare delle fragranze nuove che arrivano letteralmente dall'altra parte del mondo, dove il sole è quasi sempre alto nel cielo. La seconda è che l'ospite di questa intervista è stata una delle prime personalità internazionali che è venuta direttamente nella cucina di casa mia a mostrarmi i suoi oli mai annusati prima e a raccontarmi le sue creazioni. La terza, che è anche una condizione necessaria affinché potessimo produrre un simile contenuto, è che è il primo video che facciamo interamente in lingua inglese. Tranquilli, abbiamo messo i sottotitoli. Mi scuso in anticipo per il mio accento maccheronico e per qualche errorino di forma, ma spero che possa piacervi. Una volta capito perché questo video è così importante per il nostro canale, è giusto anche rivelarvi il tema. Parleremo di tutte le fragranze di Golfin & Banks direttamente con il fondatore del marchio, Dimitri Weber. Alla fine del video, se doveste essere incuriositi da questi profumi, vi ricordo che potete acquistare il Discovery Kit con i 9 sample di cui noi andremo a parlare a soli 35 euro. E in più, come sempre, se decideste di acquistare il kit su 50-ml.it otterrete anche uno sconto di 15 euro qualora voleste acquistare una delle fragranze, nel formato completo ovviamente, dopo averle testate con tutta calma sulla vostra pelle. Direi che come intro è tutto, le mani avanti per il mio inglese le ho messe, del kit del cashback anche, e quindi non mi resta che augurarvi buona visione e chiedervi, una volta finito il video, le vostre impressioni e i vostri commenti. Buon divertimento. Welcome everybody, this is the first English episode we are trying to propose you, and for this very special occasion we have the honor to have here with us one of the youngest parfum creator I met in my career. I told you about Dimitri earlier when he brought me to smell the Buddha oil describing desert rosewood. So say welcome everybody to Dimitri, the creator of Golfin & Banks. Hi Dimitri.
Thank you so much for having me. Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Visit Italy once a year, and we are very happy to have you here. And I saw on the table that you brought us some of the magic ingredients you showed me when we met the first time.
I know.
And
It's all about ingredients, isn't it?
the perfect start of this interview is one of the biggest discovery I did in my life. Was also thanks to you and thanks to Velvet Splendor, because I didn't know that mimosa in Italian mimosa was original from Australia, and this was something
Not
that really
many
shocked
people
me.
know, yeah.
The fragrance that you created on these ingredients is something totally different. Is
Yeah.
something totally new that I personally really like, even if I don't like the yellow flower on
The
the
mimosa.
March.
I
Yeah.
am the same. I didn't want to create a very pretty flower fragrance, floral fragrance. I really wanted Velvet Splendor to be more bold and to smell, more like a reminiscent mimosa that is sunburned. This is the idea that I had behind Velvet Splendor. So it's definitely a fragrance with a lot of character, a lot of spirit, and yeah, I just love it. It's very refined. It's probably the most European, sort of French-Italian type of fragrance in our collection.
It's like the base, you were talking about the base, the
Because
musky.
there is a lot of opoponac,
Yeah.
we have a lot of tonka bean, we have orange blossom. We were talking
Yeah.
about orange blossom earlier. There's a lot of orange blossom in this fragrance.
Yeah, that's why I
Um,
like it, probably.
And a super dosage of patchouli. It's quite a lot of patchouli in
Okay.
the fragrance itself. So as you can smell, it is a totally different mimosa or wattle fragrance than what we're used to in the perfume industry. That's for sure.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Even if you said about opoponax, I perceive it like very woody. Like
Green.
I'm not smelling the flower, I'm
Sticky.
smelling the tree.
Yeah.
The tree, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's the mimosa, the wattle has a lot of green notes, and that's what I wanted to express in the fragrance. Not necessarily the more pretty, soft, delicate, yellow, fluffy flower note, but
Disgusting.
yeah, exactly. But more green, more bold, more woody, probably more resinous
Yeah, of course.
in a way. Yeah, it's a fragrance with a huge projection, huge longevity. You have to use a little bit on it because obviously it's quite intense. It's a very intense fragrance.
If you are used to, as Dimitri said, to classical mimosa, like very French mimosa, so dusty, too much powder sometimes, this is another pair of shoes. It's totally different. A bit leathery also.
Yeah.
And
100%.
is something that even a man can wear.
Of course.
As you explained me, one of the first time we met each other, all of these fragrances can be considered unisex or gender
They
free.
Well, who are we to decide what's for men, what's for women? You know, I mean, it's a matter of experiencing a fragrance. We have, for example, in the United States, a lot of men wearing Southern Bloom, which is considered to be a quite floral, sort of feminine fragrance. So it really depends on the type of person that experiences the fragrance, and yeah, it really depends. It's hard to tell. But Velvet Splendor, I wear it, so why not?
So I want to continue this speech, and before we started to record all this interview, we were discussing about white sandalwood, and I said to Dimitri that white sandalwood is a fragrance that my girlfriend always says that is a macho boy fragrance, so this very male and masculine fragrance that just a real man can wear and can be confident with this. And he was laughing, and what did you said?
That we sell a lot on weddings. Like, a lot of women choose this fragrance as their wedding fragrance
Yeah.
because there's a lot of Turkish rose in the fragrance. There's like about 50% of Turkish rose,
Oh.
which is a lot.
Also, Turkish rose, one of the most expensive ingredients in perfumery.
Absolutely. And a buttery sandalwood and what we call a Santorum spicatum, which is the Australian native sandalwood. So it's definitely a very it's a floral, musky, woody scent. So yeah, I mean, obviously in Italy it's considered to be a very macho fragrance. So I don't know.
No, for me and my girlfriend is macho fragrance. So probably most of the people thinks, rose. No. Rose is for women. Don't wear it. But
No, not
when you
necessarily.
smell it, also is a bit spicy with this saffron, pepper.
Nutmegs. Well, we have nutmegs in.
You don't have
Desert
nutmeg.
Rose. Not in this one.
Okay.
But you know what? Nutmeg is quite peppery. So obviously black pepper could also.
But it's
It's
a bit
similar to
fruity.
a
It's a fruity pepper, is my idea. Or maybe the mix of saffron and
But
black
there is
pepper.
thyme.
Okay.
There's a little bit of an aromatic note, very dry, very floral, woody, rich, intense, extremely elegant,
Yeah.
and very textured. It's a beautiful fragrance to spray on a beautiful shirt or a scarf in wool, for example.
Which is the perfect season to wear white sandalwood.
Oh my God, I would say any season. I would avoid the heat, definitely when you smell it.
Okay.
But any season, yeah. But it's lovely for me to rediscover the fragrance because I mean I smell them all the time, but it's taking the time like we do now. It's great because now we can actually rediscover and
Talking about fragrances with other people is, even when I talk with customer, like they give me always idea, give me always like I reminds about this and say yeah me too. So it's a sort of path that we do together, and every time is different. And
You can't do that with anything else. You can't do that with skincare. You can't
no,
do that with fashion.
no, and that's why I love
And with
fragrances.
perfumes, you can share emotions and
Yeah.
sometimes quite intimate stories, and yeah, that makes it very, very interesting.
Okay, let's talk about emotions. So, the first time I met your brand, I remember was 2018 in Exans in Milano. And the first time I smelled Pacific Rock Moss, I thought, okay, this will be not my signature fragrance because I have so many fragrances, but one of them. And in fact, is one of the few fragrances I finished and I repurchase from my store, of course, but it's amazing. And a funny thing is that some of the friends of my girlfriend, they come to visit us maybe for dinner, and they always spray. And three of them said, you know, okay, this fragrance is too good. Please give it to me. Like I'm in love with this. But every time I smell it, is not a salty fragrance, but I can smell the sea inside. How can you create this fragrance without using the salty notes?
I know. Well, that's what everybody is asking me all the time. I just simply love this fragrance.
Sorry for the
No,
boring
no, no.
question. Like-
No. I mean, it's not a boring question, but that's the secret about this formula. Because I remember when I initially created this fragrance with my perfumer Francois. We launched the fragrance because we had 4 fragrances when we initially started, and I remember people telling me, "Oh my God, this fragrance, but this is not niche. This is because in niche we have oud and we have very deep, intense fragrances, and you come up with this type of fragrance, and so I was a bit offended, and I thought, well, oh my God, this whole niche industry is so narrow-minded,
Is the
and
old niche, like
the old niche,
with
I
the
mean,
new
many years
millennium,
ago.
like niche is
Exactly.
changing.
And then the fragrance became, what we know. It became a hype, and people started talking about the fragrance. But especially, people started discovering the fragrance. And today, I mean, the brand is 5 years old. 5 years later, all the brands are copying Pacific Rock Moss. I was in the airport the other day, and I was smelling some fragrances from other brands that they recently launched during COVID because I haven't traveled. And I'm thinking, bloody hell, they are taking my Pacific Rock Moss, but there is only one Pacific Rock Moss. The formula is it's geranium and sage, and there is a lot of geranium and sage, and it gives.
So that's why I love it. I'm in love with geranium. I
Yes,
didn't really. Yeah,
I
maybe I
know.
can read it on the
Yeah, I
on
know. I
the
know. I
label,
know.
but it's not the same when you smell it.
Exactly. So obviously, the start of the fragrance or the sunrise of the fragrance, it's definitely a very sunny, very bright, very citrusy scent. Um, but definitely the sunset of the fragrance is definitely a woody, musky, salty fragrance, and the salt notes are really, it's an accord. We created an accord with geranium, sage, lemon, musk, and also cedarwood. When you smell cedarwood, it has something very powdery
Yeah,
textured, a bit
like a
salty,
pencil, like
like
a
a
pencil.
pencil, and
Yep.
it's got that note. So the five together, they really recreate the complete scent of what we call an ozonic note. It's full of naturals. It's full of oils like the lemon oil, and we have the sage and all of that. Um, but there is only one Pacific Rock Moss. I mean, and that's probably the key of the success of this fragrance. It's our number one in every single country. I mean, online, I think we sell it one every 20 minutes or something. But it's Pacific Rock Moss, and now it's funny to know that so many new brands that used to criticize me and say, "But
Yeah,
this is not
they say.
niche," they all come up with something similar.
Yeah, but like if
So
we want to talk about this, we can
mm,
talk for
I
ages.
know, I know, I know.
And you know that like my idea of niche is slightly different from most of the people that work in
I
this
know, but we had so
world.
much critics, and also people were expecting Pacific Rockmos to be very strong and with projection. But when you travel to Australia, you will understand that Pacific Rockmos, it's Australia in a bottle. It's the essence of the country, and it's subtle and it's soft, and it's at the same time it's pleasant to wear. It's not something very overpowering. Yeah, it's that spirit that I wanted to capture in this fragrance, and it was definitely not the purpose to create something very powerful and with a massive projection, and all these people talk about all that. There is a place and a time for fragrances with a projection, and
If you think about the Australian weather, like is pretty hot. So wearing oud, wearing very heavy fragrance is not so easy. You said that you don't have this big silage, you don't have this powerful fragrance, but every time I wear it, like people can detect it. Like people
yeah.
can see that I'm wearing something different. And what I can tell about my experience as a consumer is that when you have natural ingredients, every 10 minutes the fragrance is changing. Every 10 minutes you can smell something different. The temperature is changing from a few degrees,
Yeah.
the fragrance change on your skin. And this is why actually I fell in love with Pacific Rock Moss, because I don't like and I very bad in wearing salty fragrances.
Okay.
But with this one, I thought like, yes, the sea on my skin
But refined, elegant.
and very
Yeah.
bright, a bright sea on my
Yeah.
skin, like I imagine is the sea in Australia because okay, I have relatives there, but I've never been there because yeah, sooner or later I go
Sooner or
there.
later, I know, and you will experience. It's very similar.
Well,
We are talking about fresh fragrances, and we're talking about, longevity and projection and all that. I wouldn't mind talking about Bohemian Lime.
one of my mom favorite
Um,
fragrance, and my mom is a very hard customer to convince.
to convince. It's another fragrance that I had a meeting with the perfumer yesterday.
Okay. Okay.
Amélie Jacquin from Givaudan,
Okay.
and the fragrance is we launched the fragrance when COVID hit, So we the fragrance was ready, everything was ready, and then COVID hit, and we were like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? You know, we are a small company, and we thought, what are we going to do? We're launching a fragrance. It's a massive risk. And we thought, you know what? Everyone is in lockdown, the whole world. And I remember Italy was in a massive lockdown.
Yeah.
Let's launch it because we want to make people dream as much as we can about, you know, places far away and about Australia and about our tropical lifestyle. And because we were not in lockdown the first year, there was nothing. There was no COVID in Australia.
No.
And you know what? Bohemian Lime became a massive success. And people started texting us saying, oh my God, thank you so much for releasing such a beautiful fragrance that makes me dream of Australia and I'm stuck here. And we had people from all over the world. And it was amazing. And it's such a great, beautiful scent with vetiver, with patchouli. We have finger lime, you know. We
Yeah,
have what we
we're
call-
finger lime. That is basically the smile of this fragrance.
Oh,
When
beautiful.
the first thing you are smelling is something funny. Yeah, I'm so excited about this.
Finger lime or caviar lime, we call it.
Ooh. Can I bring it?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Our native collection, so all the fragrances that you see here are all part of the native collection. So every
Nice.
single fragrance highlights one or two, sometimes three Australian native ingredients.
It's pretty weird, by the way.
I know.
It's,
Totally.
I
it's
thought it was
very
totally
zingy and-
different.
Well, now obviously it's freeze dried. So
Ah,
you
okay.
freeze it. But it's very zingy. It's extremely powerful. It's you know it's a very very strong little note. And then obviously it didn't exist. So one of our perfume houses was capable of creating the essence. And they said, Dimitri, we have finger lime. Can we send it to Australia? And I was like, yes, of course. And that's how I discovered actually the finger lime, the essence of finger lime. And we are basically the first brand ever to use or to highlight finger lime in our
Yep.
fragrances.
Yeah, but now maybe I saw another one that is using it later than you, of course, after you.
Okay.
But all of them are like last 2 years, so later
Okay.
than Bohemian Lime.
Right. It's like a lot of brands are pretending to have Buddha wood oil in their fragrance.
I remember Buddha Wood Oil.
And
Buddha
you
Wood
know
was
what? I can tell you,
one of the most.
Buddha wood oil, we are the only ones using the real stuff. I can tell you that.
The last time when you show me the Buddha oil,
Mm.
and I already knew Desert Rosewood, and I perfectly understood how this oil was balanced with vanilla, because when you smell it raw, it's so dusty, so
Very.
dirty, so heavy and balsamic.
Yeah,
What with the vanilla is another word.
I know.
And
I
if
know.
you then you add the mandarin in the end,
Cardamom,
this
patchouli, incense. I have a very special relationship with this fragrance. For some reason, I just absolutely love this one. It will, I don't know, and also because the color changes batch to batch, from batch
Yeah.
to batch, and it's a very difficult fragrance to blend. The oil, the Buddha wood oil in itself, is a really difficult to blend with anything else. It's all about the balance of the ingredients and formula.
but
And there is nutmeg. So in this one, there was quite
Yeah.
a lot of nutmeg in this fragrance.
you said that you're very close to this fragrance, and anytime you smell it, this fragrance give you something different. But what is the first thing you think when you smell Desert Rosewood?
When I launched the brand, my very first day,
Ah, okay.
the press conference, and yeah, and I don't know. We have an Australian singer using the fragrance, Nicole Kidman's husband, Keith
Okay.
Urban, and ever since the fragrance to me is very rock and roll, and it's a very rock and roll fragrance in a way. It's got leathery notes, and the Buddha wood oil is quite
Yeah,
quite
let
powerful.
me smell this Buddha Wood oil.
Well, it's chopped. It doesn't smell much. You have
Okay.
to extract it
But
in order
is
to get the.
is a sort of rosewood, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
for the name
so
it's
it doesn't
not
really smell much. So
Okay.
you really have to extract it in order to obtain the oil. But I love this one. There's vanilla from the Comoros Islands. There is benzoin.
Yeah, you have to.
It's such a beautiful fragrance. I just yeah.
This is
I
the
don't
the
know.
favorite one of my brother. He's not a fragrance guy. Like he's more a computer guy. But he was conquered by the Desert Rosewood intensity, elegance, but the most important thing is depth, because it's
Yeah.
a very deep fragrance. It changes a lot.
It's also a beautiful fragrance to wear when you wear a leather perfecto, you know,
Okay.
the perfecto jacket,
Yeah.
and you have the fragrance on you, and it blends with the leather, so the leather absorbs the fragrance. It's quite. I mean, it's very personal, of course,
Yeah.
but I love that. That's how a fragrance lives its own life and becomes a different story.
Blue cypress, maybe. This citrusy note that then becomes incense, and then you have the dry cypress note that is, I don't know, very elegant, but at the same time cleaner than cedarwood. Is just my opinion, or
No,
am I
actually,
right?
you know what? Now thinking and smelling the fragrance now, I actually have to say that it's quite Italian
Yeah.
in the spirit. You know, cipressa. You have
It's
a
Tuscany.
Tuscany, but it's not the same cypress. I can tell you, the cypress that we use is from Darwin, from the north of the country, and I know the guy that actually makes the oil.
Okay.
His name is Vince. It's a very rich timber. It's a timber that we use to make floors, and you know, so you extract a blue oil. It's an absolutely deep blue oil. I remember if you smelt it a couple of years ago, but it is very pure. You don't really see it often. It's never
It's too much
used in perfumery. It's used in skincare and you know in all cosmetics in general. And we're the first brand to just use that blue cypress
And-
oil. And that's why I love this fragrance. But in a way, it's very clean and crisp. It could be an Italian perfume.
Yeah.
It's true. But you can smell, because your brother was asking me about a fragrance, you know, expressing the Blue Mountains. Well, this is very Blue Mountains. If
Okay.
you know the Blue Mountains in New South Wales, close to Sydney, well, this is the Blue Mountains.
Yeah.
Crisp and very foresty, with a bit of incense, star anise. We have
But you can, I think you can also
lavender.
smell the wind coming from the sea.
Oh,
the
yes.
ocean.
Okay.
Like this salty air,
Stroking
fresh.
the green plants.
Yeah. Just one question about Blue Cypress that
Mm.
you said is very Italian, but what Italian customers are demanding today more and more is a fragrance that lasts, a fragrance that can be smelled around. In my opinion, Blue Cypress probably is not the fragrance you can smell when you walk through a street.
No.
But it's the perfect fragrance, for example, if you work in an office because it's very fresh, give you a lot of energy. You can wear it every
it's
day.
A very invigorating fragrance.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. 100%. It's the kind of fragrance that I wear it in mid seasons, like in autumn or in springtime. We are going into springtime now in Australia, so when I get back, that's probably the kind of scent that I like to wear, because it's not overly powerful, but it's crisp, and at the same time it's clean, it's elegant,
You have also this smoky note that gives
beautiful white shirt.
elegance. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. But you know, not too overpowering.
No.
If you want something more overpowering, you go for wood infusion, or you go for sunset hour, or desert rosewood, southern bloom, silky woods.
Yeah.
A lot of agarwood and vanilla. Last week I was in Manchester, and I was flying from Manchester to Paris with Air France,
Okay.
and the guy at the counter in Manchester, he said, "Oh my God, what are you wearing?" And I said, "I'm wearing a fragrance called Bohemian Lime," because I thought the guy is not going to know my brand, right? And he was like, "Do you mind if I write down the name of your perfume?" And he wrote down the name of the fragrance. He took a picture of my Instagram, and it was Bohemian Lime. Very interesting.
Before talking about the last of the fragrance you created, we have two other fragrances. One that is created around one of the most weird ingredients in the world, that is the Boronia,
Yes,
and the other one that is wood infusion.
I love
If
it.
you love woods, it's something you really have to try.
Yeah.
This is the Boronia.
This is
Yes.
Boronia. So Boronia, Tasmania,
Oh.
I know. It's a little,
And it's
little
dry.
flower. It's like a very, very pretty
Okay.
little flower. It's purple. It's yellow inside.
Okay.
It grows in Australia, in Tasmania, small island in the south. It blossoms in September
Okay.
for about 3 weeks only. Very short time. We call it the September bloom. That's when, you know, the springtime comes, and that's when the Boronia flower blossoms. And
Yep.
then the first 10 days of October, that's when the harvest and then the distillation takes place.
But also, that's why the name is Southern Bloom.
Southern bloom. But it's beautiful because it's a very, very rich perfume. It's one of the richest perfumes that I know of, and I mean, a lot of perfumes. But in terms of essential oils, the concentration of essential oils of jasmine, sambac, we have ylang ylang, we have gardenia,
So many
Baronia,
flowers.
we have rose, we have quite a bit of essential oils, and then on top of that we have, sandalwood, patchouli, a creamy sandalwood album, which is an Indian sandalwood. It's a very, very, if you like, floriental fragrances, like of florals, but then oriental
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
spice. We have a lot of Asian spices in the fragrance. We really have this beautiful blend, and yeah, I mean, this is quite unique. I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
like I have two questions for you. The first one is
it's lovely to smell them and
I-
to discover them.
I smell it, the flowers that are dry.
If you smell the dry flowers, how would you describe the smell of it?
Okay, it's dry flowers, so I can smell the dryness
Yeah,
of
yeah.
especially of the green part. But what I detect is something more fruity.
Exactly.
Fruity
So
is
what color does the fruit have? Is it more yellow? Is it more orange?
no,
Is
it's
it more
something
red?
like pink.
Yeah, I mean, Baronia flowers, the oil, the essential oil, or even the flowers have something very berries.
Yeah,
Like
very fruity. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
blackcurrant, cranberries,
Mm.
bit of cranberries.
Yeah.
This is exactly what you can smell in the fragrance, and it's a very noble ingredient, cassis.
Well, yeah, it's one of the most used in French perfumery.
I know, but
Yeah.
it's an expensive essential oil. I can tell you that. Not many people think that it's
No,
expensive.
no,
but it's really expensive.
because it's a
one. Very noble.
You need a lot of cassis
I know.
to make a very small
know.
drop of essential oil.
And I love it. It's
Yeah.
so pure. But yeah, so this fragrance is batched up in Australia, in Melbourne. It takes the lead times today are longer and longer, and it's a very special perfume. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In every sense of the word, it's a real true
But you said there are a lot of flowers, a lot of jasmine,
iris.
a lot of
It's a lot of
gardenia,
iris, yeah.
the Boronia too.
Yeah.
If you say this, maybe people can think, yeah, this is too much floral. I cannot wear
No,
it.
no, no, no. There's a difference between white flowers
Exactly.
and colorful flowers.
This one is
Yeah.
happiness, is
Absolutely.
fruity, is not as you said before. Is not the niche we were used to. Is a niche that is changing its skin. I think that this with Pacific more than all the others is this type of fragrance,
Okay.
and also the
Very
coconut in the base.
I love coconut.
This creamy and in Italian I would say piacciona. How can you translate piacciona? Pleasant.
Pleasant, yeah.
Yeah. Piaccione.
It's definitely pleasant fragrance to wear. 100%.
And
It's and again, I mean, it's for us a very important fragrance in our collection.
yeah, and
It's really for floral lovers,
Yeah.
but the very precious, noble flowers.
Yeah.
People that really love and understand flowers.
and also as this classical fruity note of the cassis plus the modern fruity note of the coconut. So all of this flower is something that you really have to try because the emotions and the feeling is absolutely unique.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I smell so many different perfumes in stores and in the airport. I
Yeah.
discover- and I haven't come across anything that
No.
is close to Southern Bloom.
No.
It's very unique. You
Yeah.
like it or you don't.
Yeah, but if you like it, you will love it. You cannot like, you have to love.
100%. We can talk about wood infusion.
We can talk
Yeah,
about wood
100%.
infusion and then we
I love wood infusion.
finish everything with the last of your creation.
I love wood infusion. Do you mind? I love this fragrance. Always remind me of we have an island in Queensland called Fraser Island, and Fraser Island is the longest sand island in the world, and it is so hot on the island that so you have to take the boat, rent a 4-wheel, and then with the boat you arrive on the island. And you know what? The island, everything is so hot and humid and it's very tropical that I have the feeling sometimes that the trunks of the trees are perspiring. And it's eucalyptus, but it's different varieties of eucalyptus. It's very moist, very humid, very buttery. It's very tropical. This is a super tropical, green, woody scent. Love the fragrance.
One
Two
question.
types of sandalwood.
Yeah, exactly. Because I knew about this.
The album, the Indian sandalwood combined with the Australian spicatum, and then we have agarwood, which is not from Australia because that's in silky woods, and then we have orange from Brazil. We have iris and a pinch of lavender.
Did you have also? I don't remember. There is also like a smoky note. Is the wood?
We have yes.
The
we do.
smokiness is the wood.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. People love it because of the creaminess can find in the base this very light smoke because it's not something that destroy your breath and is overwhelming everything. As you said, it's elegant.
I know.
And now that you tell me that there is this iris note, I can really understand like the path of this fragrance from the spices of the head, the dustiness of the iris, and the creaminess and like milky notes of the sandalwood. And the wood is just I don't know if I'm saying right, but to give these dirty notes on all of this mix of ingredients. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it's very tropical. It's extremely tropical.
And
it's mangroves. It's
Yeah, but the note of like you said about something that is humid, basically sweating. And how can you give this humidity to the woods?
well, there is a note in this fragrance that we don't often talk about, and it's called turpentine.
Okay.
You know turpentine?
No.
We use it to clean the wooden floors. It nourishes the wooden floors, and it's very strong, very reminiscent, and there is a little note of turpentine in the fragrance.
I used to make like torches with
Yeah.
that. We used to scrape
Yeah.
off the trees and make.
So it has this very woody, smoky,
It's an awesome
and it's
smell.
very
So-
powerful. I love it personally.
So this is the secret about behind the wood
I know,
infusion.
and I never talk about it because that's my secret. But now you know.
This is an
So we'll
exclusive
cut this out of the
information.
video. Yeah, no, it's unusual. I mean, we like to challenge our perfumers, and I've worked with Hamid Merati Kashani. He's a very well-known master perfumer at Firmenich. He's based in Dubai.
Okay.
And he's really, in my opinion, he's a master in woody fragrances. Like, whenever he makes something woody, he comes up with something special. He's incredible. And he knows the Australian ingredients, and he loves the sandalwoods and all that. He's very much into those notes, So he's been around for many years. He's an incredible guy.
You never stop learning. So
Exactly. But you have to meet him one day. He will be there in Aix-en.
so in June maybe we can interview him
All
with
the
Dimitri.
perfumers, exactly.
We will arrive with our camera as we did
It
in
would be
PT.
amazing, yeah.
Let's conclude this interview with the last fragrance you have created. You know that in Australia, seasons are opposite to where Italy and Europe. So the fragrance that Dimitri is presenting us is Sunset Hour.
Sunset Hour.
And I personally wear it like 2 days ago on one of my arms. And I arrived at home and my girlfriend said, you smell like a summer party.
Yeah.
And when she said this, I immediately smelled something very close to silky. The base of vanilla that is
It's the
semi-similar.
vanilla note that is in the fragrance.
So we can say that Sunset Hour is like the summer version of Silky Woods, or is
Probably it's the only note that we share with Silky
Okay.
Woods. Silky Woods has more like a tobacco
Of course.
and ylang ylang and all that, which is definitely not
the
in
Australian
Sunset
note,
Hour.
like the only fragrance in the world with Australian note.
Do you remember it took me 3 years to launch
Yeah.
Silky Woods?
Yeah, I remember.
It's incredible. I know. It was a long process. I mean, and COVID just hit, and we were working on the project and the idea of Sunset Hour. And my first thought was we work with native ingredients, and one of the native ingredients that I was interested in exploring is called desert peach.
Okay.
Kwandongs. We have kwandongs, and they are part of what we call bush tucker fruit. So I was very intrigued by this fruit, and then I started reading about it and the provenance, the indigenous community and the north of the country of Australia and all that. And then in between 2 lockdowns, I went to Broome.
Close to Perth. I just know Perth there.
No, it's oh my god, it's still a few hours flying from Perth. It's
Okay.
close to Indonesia. It's really the point. It's the Indian Ocean. It's absolutely wild and beautiful, and oh god, I mean the sun, the colors, everything is beautiful. If there weren't so many crocodiles in the area, it would probably be the second Maldives, because it's that beautiful. But you can't stay on the beach. It's too hot, and obviously too many crocodiles. So I went there, and I just absolutely loved it. And we were not in lockdown, and the rest of the world was in lockdown. And I worked with a perfumer called Honorine Blanc. She's a French perfumer at Firmenich. She had her honeymoon in Australia, so she understood Australia. She knows about Australia and about the ingredients and the fruits and the flowers and all that. And I thought, what? By the time we will launch Sunset Hour, COVID will probably be behind us, and I think people are gonna want to wear something that is more joyful
Yeah.
and more pleasant and
Absolutely.
bit like bit fun.
Yeah, to,
Because,
to come back to the earlier life.
I know, and niche perfumery sometimes is very, how would I say?
Not
it's-
funny.
Yeah, serious business.
Yeah.
You create serious fragrances. And they're all very artistic, and sometimes it's also fun and nice to just launch a perfume that is joyful and that is sparkling and bubbly, and that's what I wanted. That's how I envisaged Sunset Hour, and that's exactly what I wanted. So we worked a long time on back and forth, obviously, because we couldn't travel, we couldn't really meet, so we had interviews on Zoom. We had back and forth and creating the fragrances and adjusting it over and over and over again, because I had the exact fragrance in mind that I wanted, and this is Sunset Hour. So it's really an accord of Kwandong, desert peach with pear, a little bit of pineapple, patchouli. We have coconut water this time. We don't have the cream with coconut and a dash of coconut water. We have raspberries, salted caramel, vanilla,
It
even a
smells
pinch of ginger, like from Nigeria, like a bit of a spicy ginger to give it a bit of a
Okay.
zingy start. So the sunrise is definitely a very bright and joyful fragrance.
It smells
a
like
bit of
dried apricots.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot
yeah.
like dried apricots.
absolutely.
Okay.
But it's very unusual, and that's what I like about my
Yeah.
job, and that's what I like about my brand is we can explore new things, new ingredients, and then look for the perfumers that are willing to take on the challenge, because obviously you need to have the Australian ingredients or you have to recreate the accords, and it's part of the journey. And I'm very proud of this fragrance of Sunset Hour. And what's great about this fragrance is that whenever people smell it for the first time, you can see people's eyes are opening. There is this bright smile
Yeah.
going on their face, saying, "Oh my
I
God,
did the same.
this
I did the
is
same. I can
beautiful."
confirm it.
I know. And I was in London last week in the UK, and we had a big party with 65 influencers, and all 65, before they left, they came to me and one by one said, "Oh my God, this fragrance, it is really the sun in a bottle. It
Yeah.
is everything tropical, everything Australian." And I love that. I mean, it touches me as a creator of my fragrances, but also because that's the aim of my collection, is to make people dream and to share my experiences of my journey in Australia in fragrances and to share them with my audience. So I'm super proud of it.
This will be a fragrance that the audience will love, customer will love wearing this fragrance, spraying before going out from these places.
But also because it's a gourmand, but it's a very
It's not so sweet. It's
exactly.
fruity.
It's a refined gourmand. It's a chic, and it's beautiful on fabrics. And again, the purpose of perfume is to please
Yeah.
people, right? It's not to say it's amazing, but no, you want to please your audience. You want
Yeah.
people to say, "Oh my God, it smells amazing, and I want to wear it." And yeah, why not a gourmand? It was missing in the collection, so I thought, yeah, I create my perfumes for my customers. I'm not creating them for myself. So I just want to please them. I just want them to say, "Oh my God, I'm really feeling amazing when I smell this fragrance or when I wear this fragrance." That's bottom line.
And with these thoughts, I think that we can conclude in the best way our interview. Thank you very much to come visit us, Dimitri.
Thank you. For
See
having
you
me.
soon in Exans in June.
Or in the Blue Mountains.
Thank you
you
very
so
much,
much.
and
Thank
see
you.
you soon. Bye bye. Okay. My brother sent me this. This is summer, my winter, and he was with the daughter on the back.
In the Blue Mountains.
In the Blue Mountains with in this canyon on his back, saying, "Oh, 15 minutes walk from home." I said, yes, 15 minutes walk from home. I arrived to the metro, and it's not so beautiful, the landscape, but anyway.
But look what we have around. It's amazing.
Yeah, like
Of course.